Hello and welcome to the Rusted Brush. Today I'm going to show you a new Antioch Warband I finished for my friend. This is for Trenchcrusade, of course. These are the official Kickstarter models with a few kit bashes and slight changes. I'll be discussing a little bit on how I painted them and mostly what I think of the models. So let's begin with the Yeoman, the basic troop of the Warband. To start with, the Rifle Yeomen shown here are amazing sculpts, and I think they incorporate the World War I medieval theme extremely well. The one with the Soviet-style hat and poncho looks a bit off. I personally would have kept with the sallet helmet on this model, but these were for a friend and not mine. The shotgunner is pretty nice, however, I'm not a fan of the shotgun itself. I think it would have looked better with a classic US trench gun design or the Browning Auto 5. That being said, I think it looks good overall, and I like the shield shotgun combo. My biggest gripe with these models, I would say, is the lack of multi-posing, and I understand the restraints of 3D STLs. I think it would have been nice to have the arms separate for different weapons choices. It's a bit of work if you want different weapons on your Yeoman. Overall, I still like the sculpts. Now in terms of painting, for the green clothing in the Warband, I used a mix of Brownish Decay, Darkwood, and Ghillie Dew speed paints with some medium as the base coat, and highlighted them with AK Green Grey mixed with a bit of Brownish Decay. And the recesses, I used very thinned down Gravelord Grey speed paint. Next up are the Shock Troopers. These guys were a bit more bulkier than I expected. I put them on 32mm bases instead of 25, as they really overhang on the 25mm bases. I appreciate that the arms were separate, as this gives you a lot more options in terms of kit bashes and changing poses. In terms of weapons, I'm a little disappointed at the SMG. I think the odd folding stock Thompson looks a bit off. I assume they based this on the M1 Thompson, but I think the classic 1928 version with the full stock and grip would have been way cooler looking. Now the bar I love. They made this thing massive. The forward carrying handle unfortunately broke off, and I didn't realize this until later, but it makes it look more like the earlier versions of the bar design. The armor fits the vibe of the Warband well, and I like the helmets. I decided to paint these helmets based on examples of painted salads in the medieval period. I thought it would also help denote who is who in the Warband. You'll see more of this to come as well. Painting any metal, including the armor, I used AK Natural Steel, a wash of Nuln Oil, and then I used an enamel wash of Ancient Crime in the recesses. Moving on, we got the Combat Engineer. I love the helmet choice of this sculpt and that the arms are separate. The breastplate is interesting, as it looks based off the Soviet engineer armor more than the armor used in World War II, which I would have expected. I think it works, especially since this is supposed to be a combat engineer after all. Again, however, we have another stockless, odd-looking Thompson, but what makes it worse in my opinion is that this stick mag is tiny. Compared to the rest of the model, this magazine looks like it holds 15 rounds. A larger stick mag or drum mag would have looked a lot better. I personally would have swapped this out for a shotgun, as it feels a bit better on an engineer. Either way, still a good sculpt, but I had to gripe about the weapon. Moving on to the cooler stuff, let's start with the Sniper Priest. I'm super okay with this model not being multi-pose, as this sculpt is just awesome, and I love the idea of the Sniper Priest as well. I unfortunately broke the barrel of the rifle, which I replaced with a bar from a Warlord Games kit. I don't think there's anything I would change about this model. The super long scope and attire really hits hard with the overall vibe of Trenchcrusade. Next up is the big boy, the heavy mechanized infantry. I only got to assemble and paint this one, so I can't discuss much about the other two that come with the STLs. I got no complaints on the sculpt. It was easy to assemble, the bulkiness feels right, and a great weapon choice too. The MG really complements the size and style of the armor very well. I decided to paint a white and red stripe on one of the shoulder pads as I saw someone else paint it this way, and I really liked it. This is based on the British tank markings of World War I and early World War II. I also gave him a bigger base size than 32mm, as it really overhangs on that base size. Now on to my favorite model I painted, and my favorite picture I took, is the Trench Cleric. I love the bulkiness of the model. The pistol, the armor, and the cross made the model really imposing. The only thing me and my friend disliked was the Norman flat helmet. It feels a bit off with the rest of the Warband having salads, so I replaced it with a Perry miniature salad I had. Painting this helmet was one of my favorite parts, and I think it came out really well. And lastly, we have the Lieutenant. The pose is great, and he definitely has the aura of a high-ranking officer. I replaced his open visor helmet with a closed sallet with a bever from Perry Miniatures. Like the Cleric, the helmet painting was based on a real sallet painted this way. Also by request, I cut off the shield on his back and replaced his SMG with a much cooler trench shotgun. Later on, I also added a banner to the base which came from the upgrade STL for Trenchcrusade. I agreed with my friend for nothing overly religious on the banner, so I decided on a blue square with 2 chains. My influence from this came from Berserk. And there you go, that's the Warband so far. Overall, I think the models are great, but the weapon choices on some of the models are not to my liking. Next video will most likely be more progress on my Estalian army for the old world. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Take care, everyone.